said in your word to pray for all people, especially those in leadership. So tonight, Lord, we pray for every resident of the town of Merrillville, God, especially keep our senior citizens, watch over them, Lord, keep our schools safe, keep every school child, Lord, let them learn to the best of their ability. We pray, God, bless every person here tonight, Lord, we pray. Bless this council meeting. I ask you, Lord, to help them make right decisions, Lord, according to your will tonight, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen and amen.
Communications and demonstrations, it is my honor to bring up Dr. Tony Lux. Please step up to the mic, sir.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see everybody. I've seen my familiar faces for a little while. It's an opportunity for me to speak on the topic of, just the overall topic is school reform in Indiana and the form of school choice, and especially with respect to charter schools. Having been in central office administration for 39 years in Merrillville, rather 29 years in Merrillville, I've had a lot of concerns about the concept of school choice. And I'd just like to make it clear that my concerns are not with teachers or the people that work in charter schools or private schools. It's the concept of charter schools and school vouchers as they've been presented as school reform, as a way to improve education of children in the state of Indiana at the expense of public education. And that's really what's at the heart of the issue. Under Tony Bennett, former state superintendent, it became the concept of state government to sort of abdicate responsibility for improving public education. It became more of a judgment as to whether schools were good or whether schools were bad. I'm happy to say that recently, with the new state superintendent, Glenda Ritz, the Department of Ed has taken on the improvement of schools. However, along with the abdication of that responsibility came encouragement to a flight and abandonment of public schools. Charter schools and private school vouchers have become an effort to pacify the public. If government is not going to improve public schools, the alternative was go find a better school and hope that the school you find is better than the school you left. And unfortunately, history has shown that in almost all cases, the vast majority of cases, charter schools are not an answer to improving the education of kids, and most charter schools, unless they are highly selective of who they accept, are not as successful as public schools. So creating this search for the best school possible, and of course parents want to do that. They want the best education for their children, and that's understandable. The problem is that school choice literally means the school gets to choose, not really the parents. The parents get to apply. But then the school decides if they're going to accept those students. Are the students too difficult behaviorally? Are they too challenged academically? Do they have special needs? And those are some of the arbitrary reasons by which students are selected. Now, not to say that they don't select many children of poverty into inner-city charter schools, but if those students have too many needs and they can't work with those students, they send those students back to the public schools. And moving students back to public schools, going back and forth, this concept of choice, choose this school this year, choose another school the next year, that is not in the best interest of kids. Going back and forth, and over the years, Merrillville has experienced many students who have left and have ended up coming back. And they're worse off when they've come back. They have not kept up with their classmates when they've left to go to other schools. It's a concept that's built on the philosophy that privatization is better than state-organized public education. Privatization is based on profit-taking. Charter school sponsors are encouraged to offer school choice where students can be selected, salaries and benefits can be as minimal as possible, and students are selected that don't need a great deal of assistance and support so that they can keep expenses down. If you can get students who work hard, are compliant, have parents who are supportive, then there's less need for special programs and special expertise, and thus more profit. Unfortunately, there's not even a requirement for charter school parent companies to publish their profits. There is no reporting mechanism as to how much profit those parent companies get when they reduce salaries, reduce benefits. They don't even have to list what the salaries are of the people who work in those schools. But overall, the part that's the most difficult to understand is how charter schools can be supported over the decades when research continues to show that there's no evidence that they're doing any better than the public schools that they're supposed to be replacing. That is the biggest issue. Trying to get the public to believe that these different schools have figured something out that public schools haven't figured out. And that's not the case. There are no magic answers in any of those schools. The most prominent outcome, however, time and time again, and what we're seeing is on a state level. As money is diluted and diverted from public schools, as kids leave and go to those other schools, what's happened is public school funding has been diminished significantly in this state and across the country. So what's happening as a result of that is you see more and more public schools resorting to referendums. Just look around our community and all the surrounding communities that have gone into referendums. Crown Point, Munster, Lake Central, Boone Grove, just to name a few, because funding is being dried up because of vouchers, because of diversion to other schools. So what happens when students leave a public school system? If Merrillville would lose 100 students, that's somewhere around $5,500 a student. So 100 students times $5,500 is over $500,000 that would be lost. But if those 100 kids are spread out over 5 elementary schools and 6 grades in every school, and all the classrooms there, the lowest any classroom is going to lose is 1 or 2 kids. But when you're losing over $500,000, how are you going to recoup that money? Are you going to let 10 teachers go and double the class sizes for those 10 teachers that would make up that $500,000? It can't happen. It would cause suffering in all of the other students who are there in that public school. And that's what schools are facing all across the state. When you look at what the Merrillville schools have accomplished, what they continue to accomplish, you recognize that you have a nationally recognized today for 3 years, and first of all, it was the first one and only one that I know of that received an A, and that's happened 3 years in a row. How did it happen? It happened through a lot of work, committed teachers, dedicated programs, a lot of extra expense. It didn't happen by cutting costs for special programs. Those special programs, after school, during the school day, summer school programs, which are being cut in other communities. One Central, we've all read about, may not be able to have summer school unless parents pay for it. It's not alternative school. And students who don't perform well in a traditional school setting, Merrillville has a tremendous alternative school where if students don't behave, if they don't perform well in a traditional setting, they're into an alternative school. They're not just put out in the street. They're in an alternative program at middle school, at the high school. That's what's helped the high school get a 90% graduation rate. If you don't have the funds to maintain those programs, what do you do if you have to cut that $500,000? You can't cut the teachers, as I explained, so what are you going to cut? You're going to cut special programs? Alternative school? Where are those kids going to go? And they're going to go out on the street if you can't maintain a safe environment. Then who's going to watch the kids out there? So I encourage the town council to make a statement, to take a stand on the fact that charter schools have not been proven, and until they can demonstrate that charter schools can be more successful, until the state can find a way to fund schools properly, so that Merrillville schools aren't going to have to turn around and ask for a referendum. All those surrounding schools around us are passing a referendum, they're raising fees, they're charging more to individual parents and kids. And you all know this community can't do the things that Crown Point, Lake Central, Valpo, and Munster can do. You have to have a strong public school system that's properly funded. And that's the statement that I think you would be making for people to recognize and for the state to recognize that they need to get behind public schools, support public education at the level it needs to be supported financially, and not be diluting it and diverting public money to charter schools and vouchers. And we're not going to talk about vouchers, that's a whole other topic, but charter schools only take more money away from schools that there is no solution to resolving that loss. So, those are my comments. Thank you very much.
And also thank you, Dr. Rex, for enlightening many of us who did not realize the danger of a charter school coming into our town and destroying the A and A+ standings that are in some of our Merrillville schools. We have a great school system. We have phenomenal kids in athletics, in the arts, in science, in math. You know, we were able to view a film presented by the Merrillville High School, and they showed students who went on to extraordinary schools that the average kid could not get into. We've seen how great our children of this community is, and we thank leaders like Dr. Stone, Dr. Rex, for giving these children such an education, leading by their examples. And we do not need any charter schools in this town. Why don't we try to replace our Merrillville school systems with something less? Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Moving on to the consent agenda. Accounts payable register voucher approval May 13, 2014, and approve the town council meeting minutes of April 22nd, 2014. Motion by Councilman White and seconded by Councilman Garavio. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion approved, 6-0. Standing committees, budget and finance. Public Works, Councilman Pettit.
Mr. President, I believe we're still where we are with the spring cleanup, Bruce. We've been through the whole time. We are trying to get back to pick up some penalties and things that got left out because of the heavy rains. We spent most of the week cleaning joint, making sure that when the rain comes, the water is going to get most of it. And where do the guys stand on pothole repair? We're doing we are out there full of potholes. And for many of you guys, ladies and gentlemen, realize they're out paving as well in earnest. So I noticed that several streets in Ron's area, driving 61st Avenue, you got some stuff done. They did a fantastic job on Mississippi in and out of there. I do have a question though, Bruce, on boundaries. Thank you very much. I was up in the lodge the other day and I thought, because they did 62nd over there by the hotel up in your area. I called them and asked them the same thing. We looked at all the way to 64th because it wasn't a good place to call. Yeah, they're probably all right, that's fine. I have one question. Whatever happened with the bucket truck that we went ahead and ordered? Have we received that? We have for the equipment. They told us before 6 months on the equipment. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Anyone else in the Public Works? I received a letter that I was going to read under public comment, but since it pertains to Public Works, I would like to read it at this time. This is from Guy Mikulich. Mr. Mikulich lives at 325 West 54th Avenue. He writes, I know you are busy as well as Public Works, but there is an issue with the streets I would like to address. There is mud and debris building up in the gutters and on the street. The storm drains are getting clogged constantly and it just looks awful, as well as slowly destroying the streets. The street sweeper just goes around vehicles and sometimes operates when the ground is too wet after it rains. It also seems to be driving too fast sometimes. This has been an issue, but it's getting worse. I have listed some suggestions and hopes that you can resolve these issues. Also, some residents are carelessly throwing a large amount of grass clippings into the street, as well as piling sticks and leaves in the gutters. The first thing is to let residents know by a flyer at the beginning of spring when the street sweeper is scheduled to operate, so they can move their vehicles out of the street like the first day or week of every month. Also, to have an ordinance/policy in place so residents do move their vehicles out of the street. I can guarantee that after a couple of fines or stickers that are hard to remove, it won't keep happening or be an issue. To have a policy that if it is a rainy or very wet day, to push the cleaning forward a day or so until the ground is drier and communicate that policy to the residents. I can tell you that it is a complete waste of time to sweep after it rains. It just pushes mud around. And unfortunately, I see this happen all the time. Someone might say that sweeping after the rain prevents dirt, dust in the air. If there is that much dirt in the air from the sweeper, then the street is way too dirty. To have whoever is operating to slow down when operating or driving the sweeper. I have seen a couple of times it was moving way too fast to be effective. And finally, to have an ordinance about piling sticks or intentionally blowing grass clippings, leaves in the street. Please note that this letter is not to bash or belittle anyone, so please don't take it that way. The point of operating the street sweeper is to clean the street, not run the street sweeper. I do believe that if these issues are addressed, it will actually become easier and more efficient for the street department to do their job. Also, I'd like to add that whoever operated the sweeper last time did a much better job. Thank you for your time and consideration. Respectively, Guy Mikulich. Now I want to add, Guy Mikulich has rented his own street sweeper to clean his own streets. So, let me say, Council first, Councilman Stan. Personnel policy and employee benefits.
is ramping up, and you can see that the grass is growing, and this is a big concern for us every year. Also, Barbara has been on sick leave or whatever from the department with some health issues. So Vicki has been transferred between the two jobs to try and do both jobs. At this time, I would like to advertise for a part-time inspector for 24 hours a week to be paid at $12 an hour. And I would like to have those applications for review before the next council meeting, and then maybe to hire somebody for that position. I'm sure that we could pay it out of the noxious weeds. If that's where probably would be able to pay it out of that account.
Make a motion to accept this.
So I'll make the motion and
Very good. Motion by Councilman Goralczyk to hire a part-time code enforcement for 24 hours a week at the pay of $12 an hour. Seconded by Councilman Span. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Anything else on the personnel policy? Moving on to public safety, Councilman Whiting.
They did a memorial last year to a 13-year-old boy who was shot in a home or the living room named Jens. If I'm not mistaken. They're pretty late. And they planned treating that young man.
Yes, they did. Yes.
So I was wondering if there were any memorials to come in this time and maybe get back home.
No, I haven't heard any.
that's the 2004 annual MS4 conference. So I'm going to bring that up under environmental affairs as far as what we would do.
Getting back, Dick, do you have any idea or no who's going to have any trees? Was there a tree that going to be planted?
And there's like several trees that'll be planted.
Okay. And who are they going to?
Family members, Mr. Roy.
Once we put it out on the wall, she pulled that from last year.
that's our retreat.
This is the yellow, absolutely nothing to do with it. But I think we're back.
Okay.
And you see readers the writer act about something that you don't have anything to do with. Same thing.
Okay, moving on. Environmental affairs, Councilman Gralchuk.
Yes, was I stated last at the 2014 annual MS4 meeting and the state stormwater annual conference sponsored by IGAM. He was also presented a session for the stormwater master plan and stormwater utilities. At the stormwater conference, the town of Merrillville has received a certificate of recognition presented on May 13th by the Indiana Department of Environmental Management to the town of Merrillville. This is for the implement of the MS4 stormwater quality management plan associated with the host of discharges, detention, and elimination. Also, another reminder is residents are reminded to order their rain barrels this week if they are interested in purchasing one. The cost of the rain barrel is $51 if ordered by mail and $53.50 if ordered online by credit card. Information is also available on the town's website at www.merrillville.in.gov, and the brochures are available at the stormwater office and town department offices. The pickup date for the next would be Thursday, May 22nd from 3 to 6 p.m. at the Stormwater Resource Center parking lot at 7404 Broadway. Also, there's a deadline for any Republican interested in applying for the position of Stormwater Management Board, and that deadline is May 23rd. Letters of interest should be addressed to the Town Council President, Carol Miano, hand-delivered or sent to the Town Manager's office. The 2 recycled benches that Merrillville received from Lake County Solid Waste from 54th Avenue Court Rain Garden are scheduled to be installed on Saturday, May 24th. A beach ceremony with the local Girl Scouts is planned. That's all I have for my report.
Thank you. Anyone else on environmental affairs? Yes, Jordan.
One of our residents in the town purchased 20 rain barrels. 20? Yes, so they're all signed up.
I'm sure they're going to be sharing that with their neighbors and family. That is wonderful to hear. Okay, under elections and public relations, I don't have any report, but Karen and I will be getting together for the July 4th parade, which is going to be on July 3rd in the evening. Okay?
That we want a 7 o'clock start at what we usually do, or you think?
What is it? I think it's 6 o'clock, isn't it, Karen? Did we kick off?
Last year it was 7 o'clock. What was the key to the resident for the applications on yesterday?
Okay. We can make the same with this last year. It's a little bit cooler at 7 than at 6. Economic development, Councilman Gralchuk.
Economic development, Sean alluded to a project that is possibly coming to town. I'm sorry, I don't remember what the name of that was. Project People was that? I thought I was not supposed to know the name. Mr. Gralchuk, why are you bringing up the RDC, right, Chaz? Okay, Madam President, take over for Mr. Gralchuk. Redevelopment next. There is a resolution and/or ordinance, right, Bruce, to establish a redevelopment authority for the Ameriplex bond issue refinance. We'll have to act on that. And then redevelopment is going to be reconvening 2 weeks from tonight at 5 o'clock with a workshop to discuss what Mr. Gralchuk was alluding to, what IEDC, the Indiana Department of Economic Development, is calling Project Eagles. There is a company that is looking at a site in Ameriplex, and obviously there is a financial package involved, and when they come in 2 weeks, everybody will know. I did talk to the people at IDC, and I said, gentlemen, if they come to a redevelopment commission and/or council meeting, it is public knowledge. These are public meetings. Karen and Chaz are there. They're going to be asking questions. This gentleman, this company has got to be ready to, and believe me, I've been in Bruce's shoes when we lost LTD commodities because somebody opened their mouth too loud in this town. So I believe me, I respect confidentiality when these companies come in. You know, they want to find out the groundwork. They want to look at that. Benefits we have, schools, utilities, taxes, all that good stuff. They take their discretion. In fact, Bruce and Brenda and I have had 3 meetings. Again, confidentiality. They happen to be in Ward 6. They want to meet me. We haven't discussed it at Ameriplex. One's about the Wicks building. There are 3 bidders on the Wicks building. So, you know, we've got to kind of step lightly sometimes with these people. They don't, you know, want to divulge everything. And believe me, the 70 of us will be the first to know from Bruce and Brenda and myself when the time is right. So, but again, 2 weeks there will be a workshop on redevelopment. And it's a big deal in my eyes, and I've been doing this for 20 years. So this is not anything to sneeze at, but there's some significant risks for the town. So we got to talk about that. So I'll leave it at that. Is that going to throw your article, Chad?
Anything else on economic development? Nothing else. Nothing else? Just quickly, liaisons. Does anyone have a report?
I need to get with you after the meeting, John, and we need to talk about what happened with the 30 development over there.
Okay. I have nothing on town government reorganization or the ADA compliance. We will be moving on to journal orders.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
President, the ADA compliance or whatever, I know that they are doing some handicap ramps over in my area, so they're doing a good job with that.
Very good.
I don't know if this was a pile of rocks over on Taney, landscaping, and one of the areas that they're cutting out roads, and there are some handicap ramp owners on 63rd too. But this lady hit this pile of rocks, and I guess it damaged her front door and her light. I saw the rocks, but to me it was just, you know, a couple of feet down. When I go back and look where she hit, the rocks are about 4 feet high. There's no, like across the street where they're working and got the gutters and all that put out, there's caution tape around it. Well, why wouldn't they put that over these rocks? Because now the rocks have taken up half the road. You got to go around the rocks to use that street. Yeah, I didn't know if she hit him during the hailstorm or wind, but I went around her and I called her and we talked with the company. Yeah.
Moving on to ordinances. First reading is ordinance 14-14. An ordinance of the town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, fixing the parks non-reverting program fees for the year 2014. Is there a motion? Motion by Councilman Garachek, seconded by Councilman Spain. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Guernsey.
Yes. Highway, walk away. Garachek?
Yes.
Yes. White? Yes. Yeah.
Yes, motion approved 5-0. Ordinance 14-15, an ordinance of the town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, appropriating additional monies within the police donation fund of the town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, for the year 2014, not included in the current budget, for a total sum of $10,500.
Motion approved.
Motion by Councilman Whiting, seconded by Councilman Span. Roll call, Mr. Guernsey.
Span? Yes. Garachek? Yes. Yes. Whiting? Yes. Yeah.
Yes, motion approved 5-0. Ordinance 14-6, an ordinance ordinance of the town of Merrillville.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Ordinance 14-16. An ordinance of the town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, amending the ordinance 14-01 and fixing the salaries and pay for employees of the town of Merrillville, Indiana, for the calendar year of 2014. Motion by Councilman Geralchuk, seconded by Councilman Span. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Mr. Ramsey. Span?
Yes.
Geralchuk?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Whiting?
Yes.
No. Yes, motion approved 5-0. Ordinance 14-18, an ordinance of the town council of the town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, establishing the town of Merrillville redevelopment authority to provide for the financing, constructing, and leasing of local public improvements in the town of Merrillville redevelopment commission.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Whiting, seconded by Councilman Span. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, we do. I'd like to take the economic development people that we have and have them appointed to this committee. That would be Gene Moore, Julie Olthoff, and John Mitchell. They're part of the economic development committee. I'd like to have them appointed, and John, you weren't here for the meeting, but this is something that we have to establish, and those are timelines that we have to apply to. Right. So, and Bob's plans.
So I haven't taken action to create the authority. Once the authority is created, the appropriate appointing authorities would make those appointments.
What you're appointing now? Yes, what you're appointing.
No, we're taking that from the new development to put it on the redevelopment authority.
But I believe Bob's point said that Carol was council president, they have three appointments. So she decided we don't need a motion on that. And when it deals with the RDC, she has to appoint
And the
the
appointment.
EDC now becomes the RDA.
And it will be the same appointment. It will be the same appointment. It will be Gene Ward, Julie Olthoff, and John Mitchell.
First reading on this ordinance, has there been a roll call vote, Mr. Clerk?
Roll call, Mr. Ramsey.
Stone? Yes.
Geralchuk.
Yes.
Payne.
Yes.
Whiting.
Yes.
Yes.
Madam President, question to Bruce and to Mr. Buscemi on this ordinance. John, it said in the timeline that Carol, as council president, had to make the she has to make the appointment by May 30th. But like Bruce, they don't have to meet May 30th. So we can hear this on second reading on the 22nd. So does she have to wait then until actually May 28th to make the EDC the RDA? Let's talk this on second reading, John, right? That's correct. It's an ordinance that requires 2 readings. And the rule in the three appointments until May 28th. You must create this entity before you can make appointments to it. Oh, but didn't you say they don't meet till June 12th anyways, right? According to the timeline? Is that what they said? Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so you can do it. Okay.
Right, 27th. May 27th is the next meeting.
Right. You approve on the 27th, you appoint on the 28th, and then you go on the 12th. Yeah, your old business of that meeting. Yeah, okay.
Okay, very good. All right. If the roll call vote is 14-18, without the second reading, ordinance 14-13, an ordinance of the town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, appropriating additional monies within the noxious weed fund of the town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, for the year 2014, not included in the current budget for a total of $10,500. Motion by Councilman Span, seconded by Councilman Whiting. Do we have any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? Hearing no public comment, roll call, Mr. Ramsey.
Yes.
14-13, a resolution of the Town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, approving real property tax abatement on property located within economic revitalization area, declaring property tax abatement procedures to be found and designated in a particular area within the town as an economic revitalization area for the purposes of encouraging development and occupancy therein by providing real and personal property tax deductions. We're going to discussion. A motion? Motion by Councilman Span, seconded by Councilman Goralczyk. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion approved. 5-0. Resolution 14-14, a resolution of the Town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, transferring additional monies within the Town of Merrillville Court Probation, Lake County, Indiana, for the year 2014 for a decrease of $11,000 and an increase of $11,000. Motion by Councilman Whiting, seconded by Councilman Span. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion approved. 5-0. Resolution 14-15, a resolution of the Town of Merrillville, Lake County, Indiana, transferring additional monies within the Town of Merrillville Town Clerk General Fund, Lake County, Indiana, for the year 2014 for a decrease of $12,000 and an increase of $12,000. Motion by Councilman Span, seconded by Councilman Whiting. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion approved. 5-0. Do we have any old business? Any old business?
What's happening is all the water from underneath the parking lot is not draining, and that's draining to that Christmas tree.
And you see a lot of green evergreens, that's all that's affecting this year because of that snow. Even my neighbors are looking weird.
Yeah, plus I think every day I tell you there's so many dynamite trees and there's no kind of animals seems to be right on the tree.
That might be an option for us.
This might be. Anything else in your own business? Anything under your business?
Something on my new business. Station 2, the fire station on Taft Street, is needing some plumbing and flooring repair. At this time, I would ask that we waive the permit fees for the work that needs to be done over there. The only thing is that we would still have to pay the inspections on that. Not a motion.
Okay, motion by Councilman Goralczyk, seconded by Councilman Whiting to waive any permit fees for the 73rd Street station.
For the Taft Street.
For the Taft Street, I apologize. For the Taft Street, can we move the rating?
Station 2.
Station 2. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion approved. 5-0. Moving on to public comment. Do we have any public comment? Any public comment? Yes, sir. Come up, please. Let's take your name. Just a minute, Tony. We'll let this gentleman come first.
If I may ask, please promote behind our church. I know we spoke about this last year or so, between the new apartments and the church. It's still, no some proof. Is there a drawing board to improve that? Is that a Merrillville road? I think it's called 90. Well,
and then the people that developed Wisely. They put in 91st off attack, and they took it to their property line. And it was supposed to come together, and then the schools were kind of caught in the middle. They've owned the property as long as I can remember doing it. And it was a site for another elementary school on the north side of 93rd. We always thought they would fill the gap in. I think Prairie Point's got 91st Drive in as far as they can go, don't they? Yeah. So it's just a matter of, like Bruce said, whoever develops.
When do we have to change the name, please?
If the schools fill that in or build or sell to someone, that person would put that right in. I suppose.
What would be the challenge if the church wanted to right-of-way our property from that unimproved road? What would be the procedure?
Dedicate the right-of-way for the thoroughfare plan. That'd be your land. Depending on your survey and working with Brenda and Bruce, look at Edward Rose where it dead ends. And then you'd have to give us half of your typically 60 feet, right, Brenda?
That's fine, sure.
That's what he's talking about. He's still owned by Edward Rose. Yeah. Or
Wasn't Grant Street supposed to go down and dead end into 91st in the overall plan? I thought so.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else under public comment? Please step right up and state your name and address, please.
My name is Avery Green, and I'm the 1850 committee man from the Merrillville area. And I'm here because I have several comments, mostly coming from myself and other people who are in my community, because we seem to have a problem, and it's just with storm drainage and everything. Every single time when we get a hard rain, one of the first and most hardly affected areas in my district is that area that's at 56 and Grant Street. And 56 and Grant Street, and we actually had some people come out today from Public Works and ask to clean the drains, but we have flooded in that area, just a ton of times. There's also, in Eastwood, I'm not sure who would find out, but from Hidden Lake, there is a retention pond that's behind my house, and every time it rains, it affects everybody in my neighborhood, directly behind my house, but it comes all the way up to my house. And none of this, for whatever reason, Councilman Stone has been over with me and a couple, nobody's been able to find out whose responsibility that is. That's the one in the Hickory Ridge. That's right up there, yeah. Now it's just 55-50 Grant, and it's directly behind my house and my neighbor's house, where there's a drainage that comes directly under theirs in their driveway, and it floods and can't flood.
Things like that may be too small.
I mean, is there a
I don't know, they've got so many, what do you call them, managers? They've been out here for years. I've seen that pond, and I've seen this tree flood last year. I talked to that lady, they put a barricade up and she went out in somebody's yard. The tree floods there every year. I'm not an expert per se, but the pond seems too small for all those. That building that's over there, it seems like they could stretch it out some and maybe protect our residential people.
When that lake comes back, even we'll get him in touch with you, and he'll probably come out there and he will definitely inspect the area.
Yeah, and absolutely. I can tell you this, that Jesus also had people come out and they put pictures of, a massive amount of damage we've had, in just a couple of years, probably over $40,000 in remodels. So they keep doing it over and over. And I've had neighbors both to the north and south of me who have put their property on sale numerous amount of times because of, it's an ongoing problem. And let me tell you, this is not one of my major concerns, and I discussed this with Virginia, and I've had some discussions with Councilman Stone as well. Okay, when we start
start to have a situation, and then that area starts to flood or whatever. Okay, and cars start to come through there. Public works at some point will come out and put a barricade to keep cars from going through there. But when I was talking to someone on the phone night before last, because I'm trying to see, I got people here who are actually stranded in vehicles, and I know I got to get a non-emergency number. Or it could be an emergency because these people are having a way to water. Not that it was money, but it doesn't matter. What I got was, after I got transferred with that non-emergency number, then they transferred me directly back to 911, to which I was told this: the water will subside. It's Mother Nature. Okay? There's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do. But they were stranded. There were people in vehicles. So, okay, we have a they got a tow truck, and some people had, helped in assisted, but I just remember that I said, they had to get these out and boat. Yeah, I got evacuated in a boat before I got in.
What day did you call?
This was the night before last. In fact, I called James, who told me to call, said, well, call a non-emergency number, and we'll call him, and then it takes you back because there's no one I guess, public works there, wherever it transfers to, is like option number 8. So then when it does, it transfers you back to the exact same 911 operator where I called first. And saying that this is not an emergency, but I have people that are saying, in the right way.
Was this Monday?
This would have been Sunday. That would have been Sunday night, right? Yeah, this would have been Sunday night. I'm telling you is that in my area, because I couldn't even access my own house from that area, I had to go all the way back around, come back around Johnson Street, and then head back north because the water normally builds up from 56th Avenue. It's not in my house going north. Yeah, exactly. Honestly, it's just people have known because we put the message out, and we have Black Club and a number of different things. And so when we start to have emergencies, I get people who call on the phone. And we want to know exactly what it is we can do. And there's absolutely nothing I can tell them that there's no recourse because what I've told us is Mother Nature. Somehow I think there's a better explanation than that. Or somehow I think there should be some other leeway so that we can at least, and I'm sure you guys, because you guys are out and doing circulation and everything else, I'm sure that somebody knows that those areas are prime areas, and so I'm sure they're being attended to. Because when I got on the phone again, and after I had spoken with Jimmy, and he got on the phone with Phil and some other people, talking with almost instantaneous. So I guess what we need to know, or what the people in my community need to know, is number one, is there money being allocated to do something for that, including the money that, from my knowledge, even since I took over as a precinct committeeman, and with some of the conversations with the council there's no money allocated for the Merrillville area in terms of sidewalks and some other things, and I'm not sure about the sewage. But I guess I want to know if there's something on the docket and when it's going to be taken care of.
Talking about Hickory Ridge, a few years back, they have land north of them, and they discussed about putting another retention pond in there to keep that land from flowing over into your street. And the reason your street gets so flooded is the creek fills up, and it can't drain. So then Hickory Ridge could get that water go elsewhere. That would definitely help. When you back and you have land up north, and they were talking about putting another one in and sending the water that way. But then they changed land use groups and
the last problem we had with that big fire, Howard did a heck of a job getting that squared away and people off homes and all that. Now, Hickory Ridge is a private entity.
we have to let it define that.
But this has been going on, I've been on the council for 3 years, it's been going on for 3 years, that's what it's been on now.
Longer.
My first time I campaigned, I walked in your basement, you just had a front door. Absolutely. Yeah, the first right that was almost 6 years ago. You told me that in your basement, and your tank was coming out. I had 8,000 gallons. Wow. Yeah. And I went down there, I go, oh my God. How many years? Yeah, I just feel like every year. You know, this is something, here's the thing, when that comes back, you know, someone, you know, some of these guys like to, you know, we don't quit talking about it, just do something. Yeah, I mean, I have neighbors, and I have neighbors who are not just on Grand Street, but Johnson Street, and all that others going back there, that have had to do more than 4 remodels in the last 6 years. You know,
It might even be a land store, we can even help them out at Hickory Radio or $10 a pound or something. So, that's the water. Let me tell you what there's been a study done by Christopher Burke from ownership that was done a couple of years ago. And it was nothing, I mean, the plans of study are talking about making improvements down the line on the building to get the water out of the subdivision and no retention area as quickly as possible. And then, you know, like north and south of 57th Avenue there. So, we're debating on who should do what where. There's already a study that's been done. And the study needs to be put in action, you know, when the final, you know, project to take care of the flooding damage in the area. But it's all laid out for us. We have to put this stuff that we're going to do from 54th Avenue all the way south to 32nd. Now, the county has come through here last year and cleaned out that ditch. I still hope when it would have helped a little more, I guess, what it did the last time. But also, the visitors, that's what we talked like some of the storm drainage. A lot of the students can do your backup. And when they're getting water in your basement, and people get water in their basement, it's not because of our road drainage or restriction, it's because of the Gary Sanitary District. The whole system over there starts backing up and ends up in that basement. And that's not following the road. It's not good when it's just going out and it's like flooding. A lot of it's sanitary sewer backup.
And that's one of my issues is that, you know, because we're on the north side of it, we still pay here at Cemetery District. When we actually, we're paying them for a sewer system that we don't even have. It's one that's feeding into Merrillville. I'm not sure how, which way, I'm still maybe somewhere down the line, but how south of 57 is going to help the people that are in my community that are at 57 and going north. I mean, for the planning for the, okay, there's the water on to the I guess one of the reasons why I'm here today about it, I've been in my home for over 13 years. And for 13 years, I've talked with and campaigned for a number of different council people and everybody else, plain and simple. And for now almost 13 years, we've been told there's a plan, and I've got who people in my community are calling to ask, well, what happened to the plan? What happened to the plan? And honestly, even if I tell them it's in the middle of the night, well, you got to call them in the street, pop up first. You can't get anybody in public first. So, in the middle of the night, I'm calling them, waking up Jane Moore or Span or having them say, I'm not going to call Carl at 12 midnight. Honestly, I'm just not going to do it. I just want to know what the recourse is, and my neighbors want to know what's going on. I'm going to take the time and the next meeting is on what, the 25th? 27th? I'll try to be here with as many of my neighbors as possible, just so everybody understands that this is something they're going through. They're frustrated. On each side of me, north and south, since I've been there, 4 different homeowners, and they all move out just because they're not getting anything down.
One thing before you go is, can we meet with the Gary Sanitary Sewer?
You've done that a few times. He's had to go through because most of his work is Gary Sanitary Sewer District and trying to get them to do anything or improvements about this, I'll say it really that comes in your basement.
And then we had a plan in 2008. Sure, it was. Because everybody, and I'm talking about this is just, when my brother told me, once they, when Public Works comes out, and they clear that little circle and they go down and they clean the drains, watch that. So
is it sanitary that's in your basement, or is it from 2008? I understand 2008. We lost half of the time.
Now,
I'm asking you now, it is from. Okay. After the meeting, I'd like to get with you to get you the phone number that you called in on and the approximate time when you called.
all right, so thank you very much and thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Bruce was talking about one of the other problems was where that creek goes under the railroad tracks. It's just too small. It also needs to be enlarged. I think the next foundation we need to take out for the someone look into.
Anyone else in their public comments? No one else who would like to announce this? Environmental Resource Committee. Oh, we have one lady. I'm sorry, dear. Oh, come on up. I want to piggyback on Anthony regarding that. My name is George Evans Peterson. I'm on 54 in Johnson. And we have a creek right behind our house as well that connects with Club Street on 54. And every time that it does rain, and that's our main concern, is the rain drainage. And we've been having some recent vandalism or thefts in the area. So I wanted to at least put that on the books on the board to where at least maybe we can find a neighborhood watch in our area. And I don't know how to go about doing it or what should I do. We do have a crime watch. All Merrillville residents are welcome and invited to come. We started with Ward 1, which was John's Spin, and Ward 3, which is mine. We meet at the town hall right here last Saturday of the month at 1 o'clock. We have signs you can put in your windows. We talk about the crime stats, what's going on, what to look for into your community. So, yes, you and your neighbors, please stop by 1 o'clock Saturday, the end of the month.
No soliciting stickers from your door, because we get some weirdos and some of them are just thieves. But I did, as a portrayer, I don't have to use anything like that. Anybody has to have a business in Merrillville. So if someone knocks at your door, they want to solicit, you can come on off to see if they got a permit. If they don't have a permit, you call the police department. And we're also working on a mental health guide. We want to force the guys to pick up metal to have a permit.
Oh, the scrappers, yeah, we're going to be doing an ordinance on scrappers.
We're working on an ordinance for that.
So if I can at least get them some information and that way,
It's currently at home there. Just give me a call.
thank you very much. Of course. Okay, thank you. Any more under public comment? Lori, are you going to come up for public comment? Well, very good. Come on down.
Washington. I just wanted to say that once upon a time, we had a crime watch, and it was located at our North Police Station on 54th and Broadway, and I was extremely upset that they did away with it. I'm very sorry. Just as a resident, I was on 56th in Washington, and I commend Councilwoman Miano and Councilman Speed for keeping the crime watch going. This is very important. Thank you.
they don't want to come back into that area. And I really believe that it is working, and thanks to Chief Petrus and his department. Okay.
So we actually gave Joe
Yeah,
the money